Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B, and I wanted to hop on today and talk a little bit about suffering. And it's a miserable day outside, so I'm sitting inside, and I can't think of any better metaphor right now than when the weather is nasty. It is necessary, all the rain that's coming down, for the plants to get the water that they need so that they can grow. But from an egoic point of view, we love sunny days and feeling good and being outside and this, that, and the other. But if we didn't have the countering energy of miserable days and this, that, and the other, we couldn't, one, appreciate those sunny days, and two, have the necessary things delivered to us so that we can sustain life and propel ourselves through growth. And so suffering is a very unfortunately needed part of this process called human life down here on Earth School. The Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths, and I'm just going to read those to you. I have them written down here. So Buddha's Four Noble Truths. 1, all is suffering. 2, the cause of suffering is cravings of the physical and mental bodies in its perceived illusions. All is an illusion. Number 3, to end suffering, one must end cravings created out of the illusions. And 4, the way to do that, if one follows the noble path of right ideas, right resolution, right speech, right behavior, right livelihood, right effect, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And then enlightenment can be obtained, for only the noble path is truth. Okay, well, that's heavy. That's heavy hitting. Nobody wants to be in the energy of suffering. And our egos, especially those on the spiritual path, are like, high vibes only, want to get to bliss, want to, only going to deal with the light stuff. But the right path, the noble path, is to the ending of suffering is through the suffering. It's unfortunately only through the suffering do we let go of the attachments to things. So my background, I've mentioned in some videos, but for those that don't know, my original college diploma was Native Community Worker Addictions Counselling. So I'm trained as an addictions counselor. I did not work in the field because, funny story, I was called out on it in my co-op placements because I was very young. I was only 21, and they were like, you have no right. Who the fuck do you think you are working in this field? Said somebody sitting in an AA meeting that I was co-hosting, and they were right. They were 100% right because I didn't have any life experience. I didn't have the necessary skills through experience to be able to come from a place of genuine understandings. Yes, I had book smarts and my grades were awesome, but I lacked the experience. And what was that experience? The experience of suffering, the understanding and the know-how of what happens in one's life that pushes people to attach to certain thing, which creates more suffering, and then what it is to detach from those things that create suffering. But what the course did teach me is that one needs to reach a rock bottom before they're willing to let go of something. So something needs to become what once worked. It has to come to a place where it doesn't work. And so while the course was very useful in teaching me all the ways to not be perceived as an addict, I spread my addictions out so nicely around that not one could have fallen into the criteria of, oh, you're an alcoholic, or oh, you're this or that. So I smoked, I used distractions, I used foods, I used alcohol, I used pot, I used caffeine, I used codependency and people. So all of my sufferings, all my attachments were spread out, which gave me a lot of experience to now be able to come on and help people take that knowledge that I learned from college and help people let go of the things that cause them suffering. Because all of those things that I was attached to in the long runs were illusions. They were not real. They were synthetic. I like to call it like an energetic synthetic replacement. So smoking is a heart chakra wound. So that was a synthetic replacement to kindness, to nurturing, to that feminine mother energy, which, nurturing, swaddling up your heart center and feeling safe. Oh, I'm having stress. So it was an illusion that it was solving my suffering. So underneath any of these attachments that we have, whether they be alcohol, whether they be pot, whether they be pharmaceuticals, whether it be exercise, whether it be codependency, whether it be jobs that offer certain faux senses of safety and security. All of these are attachments, and what's underneath the attachments is suffering. And it's only through the suffering that we can find freedom. We can find that says, I can't take this anymore. These hangovers, they're too much. I'm not getting anything out of this. Or this food has caused me to be diabetic and have fibromyalgia and have inflammation in my body and have candida and this. So I got to let go of the carbs. So only when it gets bad enough will we let go of the attachments. And then what happens is, once we let go of the attachments, there's a process, a path, as Buddha describes it. There's a path of making, okay, so I've made the wrong choices, so now I'm going to switch into the right choices. And as I switch into the right choices, there's a consequence that happens, which is the suffering that was the root, the underneath whatever the attachment is, begins to surface. And one of the things that I've said in a million of my videos out there is how vitally important it is that we don't try to bypass to bliss. And so on the path to enlightenment, on the path to greater awareness, we have to go through all of the emotions and sit in it. And even those are in our highest and greatest good. So, people like to talk about, oh, I'm jumping timelines into something better and I'm going to manifest in my greatest life. Well, when we get to a place of surrender and surrendering, we have to understand that sometimes what we're asking for, oh, give me all these blessings. Sometimes our greatest blessing is to actually feel the suffering. Because as we feel the suffering, we let go of the attachments. As we feel the suffering, we heal the trauma that's underneath the attachments. As we feel the suffering, and that may present in any way, shape, or form. It can come out as feeling the grief, feeling the sadness, feeling the anger, feeling the fears, feeling the hurts, feeling the anguish, feeling the terror. I can go on and on, because there's a lot of emotions that are stored up in us that is the root cause of suffering. And as we face each of those, as we allow ourselves just the time to be in that energy, that in itself is a blessing. So one of the things that I have been really noticing more and more on my path is how much people idealize or hold on to this notion that being healed or healing looks like samsara, nirvana, bliss, joy, and manifestations. Look at all the things that I've manifested. But actually, if we're asking God, the source, the universe, the creator, whatever term you want to resonate with, if we're asking to be placed on our highest path, our highest destiny, please manifest health and wellness for us, that means that sometimes we're going to be given the dark stuff. And it's like you got to take your medicine, and the medicine doesn't taste good. It's not pleasurable, but you need to take the medicine to get better. And that applies whether it's on the physical, the emotional, the mental, or the spiritual. You need to sit in the ick to help transmute it, to clear it, to alchemize it, to heal it, any of those words. So if we are sitting in the ick, and just allowing without judgment that, okay, I'm experiencing grief. Grief is coming up today. Okay, I'm going to nurture and care for myself through this process of grief. I'm going to allow for the tears. I'm going to not judge myself, because the tendency, the program, the societal program, not just your own individual program, but the societal program is to say that you should be happy. If you're in any form of suffering, then you're disordered, or, you should pull yourself together or put on a smiley face, or there's always this expectation to put our shiny self forward of, look, I've made it. But there is no make it. That's the illusion that the Buddha is talking about. There is no made it. This is Earth school. So as we are in this enlightenment process on the path, each choice that we make that brings us closer and closer to enlightenment is going to come with icky sensations, unpleasant emotions, difficult thought patterns arising that we need to be in the observer of, and allow. So if you're struggling with emotions on this path, and the less desirable emotions, try to reframe it as this is a blessing. This sadness is a blessing. It's giving me an opportunity to purge more. This anger is a blessing. It's giving me the energy that I need to make action choices, to make definitive choices of, this doesn't work for me. I'm out of here. I quit. I want a divorce. Any of those. Those are anger, action-oriented energies from the solar plexus. And feeling all of the feels through all of the emotions, as icky, as disturbing, as uncomfortable as they are, is the best blessing ever. So when we're saying, God's will, or help me manifest my greatest timeline, and then we get all upset because there's delays because we're emoting and we're releasing trauma, that's the path. That is the path. That is the work. That is the going into the shadows and clearing things out so that you can embody more light, so you can embody more compassion, more love, and everything else. And so my cats are having at it. They're going through their own enlightenment path. Each of these conflicts, each of these issues that comes up that's unpleasant, is for our highest and greatest good. So thank you for the sadness, and thank you for the releases, and thank you for the purges, and thank you for the trauma coming up and clearing out, so that I can become more and more and more in alignment with what soul wants for me. And what soul wants for me, and I will repeat, is to be in alignment with the right ideas. Of what, instead of egoic ideas of this is how I think my life should look, and using examples outside of myself and saying, oh yes, well I need to create this and I need to create that. Those ideas might not be the right ideas. And when the right ideas are the ideas that are given to you by soul, and those ones are going to come with fear and uncomfortability and pushing us outside of our comfort zone. Same with right resolution. How am I going to bring that to fruition? How am I going to resolve what the ideas are and bring it into, like, okay, I want to build a new business and I'm going to want to do it within certain ethical or moral or things. I want to be environmentally friendly, for example. So if you're like, I want to build an environmentally friendly business, but then you're doing some side deals with some not so environmentally friendly suppliers, the resolution isn't in alignment. It's not right. Right speech. So speaking from integrity, speaking from authenticity, speaking from truth, speaking your truth, and your truth may not be in alignment with other people's truth. So there could be conflict, there could be difficulty in learning to cultivate the energy that is authenticity and speaking from a place of, listen, I know you don't see my vision, but I have a vision and I need to do this. And I feel confident in my call. I'm heeding the call, and I'm going to speak about it and go out in the world. All the greatest leaders out there are speaking from their hearts. They're not speaking from, I think this is what everybody wants to hear, because if they're speaking from, I think this is what everybody wants to hear, ultimately it's going to collapse, because it's not from a place of truth. With that, right behavior. Is our behavior in alignment with what it is that we want to create for ourselves? So if you're trying to create health and wellness, and that you're sneaking off and having pizza in the middle of the night when nobody's looking, your behavior isn't in alignment with what you're being called to do. So everything you need to look at, well, is this bringing me closer to my goals or further from my goals? Closer to my goals or further? Right livelihood. Is the way that you interact with the world and the way that you make money in alignment with your soul, or are you being called into stepping into something else? And therefore, if you're out of alignment and you're working for a job because it's got a great benefits package, but you're absolutely miserable and stressed out, you are in suffering. Any of these things that are out of alignment with your truth are going to create suffering for yourself. So the more we get back into alignment of what is our own mission, our own life's purpose, the less we are going to attach our things to things that are vibrating at the right frequency, and therefore creating a state of dis-ease, disharmony, and discomfort. Right effort. So this is, are you showing up and doing the action steps are required as well? You can't just say, hey, I want to manifest ABC, please make it happen. That happens by, you get a phone call offering you a job, you still need to go to the job interview, you still need to show up dressed appropriately, and you still need to present yourself in a nice way. So there is a certain amount of effort that needs to be done in alignment with your soul's call or the universe's call. Right mindfulness, and this one is very, very challenging, because if you have a lot of trauma, which has a lot of suffering involved, a lot of that, and it's taking ownership, and it's hard for me to even say, but a lot of my own suffering is self-caused. Because my mind is not in a proper mindfulness. If I'm in a state of catastrophizing and going and constantly thinking about the worst case scenario all the time, my mind isn't in alignment with faith and trust and flow. And so I have to 100% put my hands up and own that a lot of the suffering that I have experienced has been at my own mind creation of always thinking about what could happen and what could go wrong. And listen, it's a learned behavior, but like any learned behavior, we can work at it and we can change it. It's a path. It's not a one-time event that all of a sudden you go from suffering and then boom, you're into like everything is brilliant. Each step along the path, each tear along that's shed, each journal entry, each of these is medicine for the soul. And then, of course, right concentration and putting your energy into the right areas. So I wanted to talk about this because one of the things that really I struggle with a little bit is this whole concept of high vibes only and defining things by the matrix of what success looks like from a 3D point of view. And listen, I'm not sitting in an ivory tower thinking I've got it all together, but those that are sitting in an ivory tower certainly don't have it all together either. So if you're defining yourself by a matrix of how big your house is, how fast your car is, how young your wife is or husband, or all of those types of matrix, those aren't actually providing you, I think, their attachments, so they are illusionary in regards to suffering. If you're still experiencing suffering, eventually you come to the place where you realize it's not these exterior things that is going to alleviate my suffering. My suffering needs to be alleviated from within, and then my outer reality will start to reflect that back. So this path that many people find themselves on, and this spiritual awakening, it's a process, and the suffering that we experience as unpleasant and difficult and not really what we're like hoping for, is actually in our highest and greatest good. So that whole concept of put me in alignment with my highest and greatest good. If your highest and greatest good looks pretty low vibe at the moment, and you're not afraid to sit in that low vibe energy, then you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly doing the work that needs to be done, so that what you can do is love yourself even more. Love yourself in those times of suffering, in those times of anger, in those times of sadness, in those times of grief. Love the fuck out of yourself. If you need help with your suffering, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. The way to do that will be in the description below. Please hop on to the emotions playlist. If you need some help with some of the difficult emotions, I also have a mind playlist. And a body playlist if some of the suffering is happening in the physical form and you're needing to let go of some of the attachments in the physical. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. I love those. Ask me anything. And thank you again for all your comments. I really greatly appreciate it. I hope that you're doing well on this ascension path, whatever type of awakening you happen to be on. And I'm sending you my absolute love. Mwah. And with that said, peace out.